Welcome back to Locker Room Dads, hosted by myself, Pat O'Donnell, Green Bay Packers punter, and brewery owner Josh Brinzo. Today's guest on the show is an offensive lineman who was a first-round pick for the Chicago Bears in 2013. He was named All-Pro and appeared in 3 different Pro Bowls, but most importantly, a locker room dad and a great friend of mine. Kyle Long, welcome to the show.
Boys, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be, a dad. I've been talking to Pat about being a dad for a while. Really lucky to have played with Pat in Chicago for a while, and really excited to be able to watch Packers games and not be vomiting the whole time this year because I have a friend on the team now. And and now Josh and I were just talking before we went live. We have a lot of commonality, some sim racing that I'm sure we'll get into, but being a brand new dad, I mean, where do you want me to start, Pat? Because as you know, it opened up
it's a whirlwind.
It's
a whirlwind. Maybe we'll start with the lack of sleep. How much sleep have you gotten? You have a 1-week girl. I mean, you're fresh into this thing.
Okay, so lack of sleep, I'll take you to the night before we had the scheduled C-section. We had to be at I guess you got to work with me on verbiage here. We had to be at the hospital at 5:30 for a 5:45 check-in, whatever it was, for Kate's C-section, my wife, who is happy and beautiful, and I've never been more in love with my wife than I am this week. Like, you look at your wife holding your child, and you're like, this is the hottest thing I've ever seen, ever. Like, it's primal. You know what I mean? Like, it's like go out and hunt for food and come back and eat it. That kind of primal. Like, you see her and you're like, this is what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So the lack of sleep. The night before, we have an amazing dog, Bear, who you know, Pat, and a lot of people are familiar with my dog, Bear. He's a big, fluffy German Shepherd. The night before, I gave him a piece of like a chicken nugget or something, and it didn't sit well with him, and it usually does. And so 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., Bear's got the runs the night before. We got no sleep the night before. And you go into the hospital. Everything goes really smooth. My wife was really nervous about it, of course, like anybody going into an operation. I've had surgeries, and sometimes you're in there in the room, and you've agreed to being there. You've cleaned yourself up. You signed off on the rehab plan. Then you get on the table, and they're like, "Okay, we're going to give you the medicine now," and you're like, "I don't know if I want to do this." You know what I'm saying? Like, I was getting that vibe from her at the beginning, and then they said, "Kyle, you're going to stay out here. She's going to go in and get prepped, and then in 30 minutes we'll bring you in." And I was really worried because I know how it is to be alone in those situations, and it's nerve-wracking. And even for guys like us who are supposed to be big and tough, and that stuff gets to us, you know what I mean? And when they finally said, "Okay, Kyle, she's all ready," my first thought was, don't have a heart attack because you're so excited to see your dog. Don't die in the delivery room. And I'm dead serious. I was like,
oh, I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure people have passed out. I'm sure.
Control your breathing. All you have to do is be there for your wife, hold the hand. And I went in there, and Kate was she gets a little hot flashy sometimes when she gets stressed out. So I walked in, and I could see I was like, okay, we're already on the job right now. Like, we got to calm her down a little bit. Right when she turned and saw me, I saw her open up, smile, and she was like, I could see her visibly just, and she goes, "Can you just hold my hand?" And I remember tearing up, being like, "Yes, I can do that." And I held it. And she didn't have the clear screen. She had the blue opaque screen. And the OB, the doctor who delivered, was actually my high school ortho doctor's daughter.
No.
So the guy, like, when I'd come off the sideline and be like, "My shoulder's out," he'd be like, "Come here," whoosh, you know. His daughter delivered my daughter.
That's crazy.
And I'll tell you, remind me in about 5 minutes. I got another story about him in the past week dealing with baby.
Okay.
So we're at the hospital. It's going, we're in there. It's about to happen. And the doctor says, "Do you want to look?" And I was like, "No." And then she kind of looked at me like her dad would. She said, "Kyle, do you want to look?" And I was like, and I peeked over, and I went, I saw my wife's soul. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, she's filleted now, right?
I saw her soul.
Oh.
And along with the soul, I got the first glimpse of my daughter's butt cheeks and the bottom of her feet. She came pulling out. You know, when that head comes out, you're like, how did that thing fit in? Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing the, like, click and rotate, trying to figure out how everything's working. But the baby came out. The baby was healthy. You look at the doctors to be like, 2 thumbs up, right? It looks
Yeah,
like a
you kind of hold your
baby.
breath. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
It
waiting.
looks like a baby. Is it a baby? We're good. And there, and you see your wife smile and the happy tears, and you see the 9, 10 months of miracle come to fruition, and you hear the voice of your child. You hear the vocal cords in action, and you're like, this is what it's about. I mean, I remember when my dad used to say, one day you'll understand. And until then, you won't. And we've all heard that. And
No, I
holy
think
shit, do we understand now?
we do, man. No, I think
They handed me the baby, right? They said, "Do you want to hold your daughter?" I said, "Of course." And I held the baby, and immediately I'm like, "Take the baby, take the baby." I'm afraid to hold the baby. I'm so big, and I don't want to. We mess anything up. They're so gentle, but then you think humans have been around for how long? And you think,
they
you've
figured
seen
it
the
out.
movie like Apocalypto, that lady sprinting through the jungle with a baby, like getting chased by, spear wielding bad people. It's a lot chiller here in Central Virginia at the hospital, and you get to come home. And so everything was great. The sleep deprivation's real. The first night, the baby slept great, but I think she was just in shock, right? Like she was just hanging out. And then now, I mean, Kate's Kate's feeding the heck out of her, and that baby is content, man. As long as it's got food, the baby is happy.
No, I think that's great that you just gave us vivid detail.
Yes.
Like, because you lose sense of it all. Because we all had 1 week-year-olds. I'm sure a lot of guys listening to this have had it. But you just going through that for the week that you just experienced. I mean, it is mind blowing for dads that are just waiting for that opportunity to see their daughter. And you actually got to see like the butt cheeks, right? Your wife had a C-section, and we did the other way, the vaginal birth, and it was a lot different, right? But I'm sure it was probably a little intense for you to see like your wife open on the table like that. Because Josh, you had a normal birth, right?
Yeah, normal birth. Yeah, like you said, you don't know what you're doing until you get the baby in your hands and it all kicks in.
Just instinct,
yeah,
right?
it's kind of crazy.
Animal instinct takes over.
I think that's like one thing too that's kind of been a common thing on our show is, parents go into it, first time dads, kind of scared, not knowing like what to expect, never held a baby.
Sheesh.
Then,
I never held a baby. I never
like a baby that young. Like we're
right.
like small, like
we're talking
if
fresh.
If Pat Scales' kid is at practice, I don't feel bad saying I can hold that baby. I can hold that kid. Like I can, hey, play with the kid.
I know.
But a newborn is like
slimy.
That is a sugar snap pea in my hands. Like
it's
and
crazy.
one of the peas is sticking out, and you have to support it. Like
right, the neck.
Yeah.
The karate hands is pretty sick, guys. I'm into the karate hands that the baby does. Like you hold it, it's like that's the face, right?
It is. God, the karate hands. I almost forgot about that.
Oh, the ortho. I was telling you, this is a good one. Okay, so it's day 2.5, and we still have a day and a half in the hospital, right? And Kate's ready to go. Kate. She is tough as shit. She's like, baby's great. I'm great. Let's go. Let's go. And they make us stay. And Kate was like, I'm going to stay this morning with the baby at the hospital. You should go home and get a nap, or go home and, play a around a war zone or something. Like, just go decompress. You've been
just
here.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
And I was, no. So I finally leave, and I go home, and her parents are at our house, and they're staying here. We had a rule: no parents birth on the birthday, maybe parents on the second day, potentially parents on the third day, depending on how my wife feels. And she was cool with it later on, like second day. But the first day was like no visitors, right? So I go home, and I get a text from Kate that said, your doctor just came by the room. And I was like, my doctor just came by the room. I was confused, Pat. Like there was a big, what the fuck is going on here?
It's
Like,
very open-ended.
W-
Yes.
yeah. So I said, who? And she said, the doctor's father that just came in here. The OB's dad, who is like my uncle, came up and was like, my daughter just delivered a baby.
Yeah, I'm sure that was wild.
Not false. His daughter's the OB.
Small. I mean, how small is Virginia?
My daughter just delivered a baby. She's in 444 or whatever it is. and Kate's in there like nursing or whatever, and my doc comes in. Hey, Kate, how's it going? And Kate's shocked. She hasn't had visitors, and she knows that I know the guy. And at first, she's kind of like snapping in and out of it, like, who is in here? He introduced himself. They talked for a while. He's a sweet old guy. He was really good friends with my late grandfather, who my daughter is actually named after. My grandfather, Francesco Adonisio, Frankie A. So we named her Francesca, Frankie Jane. She's a badass little kid. She's got a lot to live up to, and I'm glad we carried on the family name there. But sleep deprivation, funny delivery room stories. I mean, we got it in bunches, and I'm sure you guys did too. What was the most interesting things that happened like for you guys in the first few days?
No, I'm taking a step back and I'm putting myself in your shoes, and I went through it in 2020, right? So we didn't have to go through like if anyone else was going to be in a delivery room with us. Like that was off the bat, like off the rip, like everyone knew they couldn't go in. So now I'm thinking back, I'm like, oh, this time around, like as you know, Shelbs is like 20 weeks pregnant right now, and I'm like, I wonder how that's going to look this time. You know what I mean? Am I going to have that?
Early.
Yeah, am I going to have to have that conversation?
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting in there in the hospital because we didn't know, right? We did the OG gender reveal. Like when it came out, we were going to say boy, girl, right? But you guys didn't. You guys knew. And this was going to be leading into the question if you guys had a name picked out, right? Because we had a slew of names like boy. Like everyone was like, if you believe in the wives' tales, it's going to be a boy, this and that. And our name for boys were literally like back and forth with two names. And we pretty much had our one. It was 1A, 1B. And then girls, like we had like this open-ended list, and we're sitting there, and then they put that piece of paper in front of you, and you're like, "This is a lot of pressure, man." Like I want to make sure, like I'm going through every scenario. Like how many times could kids like joke around with the name? Like are you doing like?
Well, you spend 9 months doing that, right? Like Kate, I remember she liked the name. There's a couple names that she liked with the last letters being ER. So whether it's like for a boy, it would be like Walker or girl Parker, and I would be like Parker Long, huh? And she'd be like, Kyle, no, like
but your name is so unique. It's
like,
different.
hey, this is what these kids are gonna do. Like,
but it's
brutal.
It's good that Kate had you to go through the childish.
Like Parker was so high on our list. Like that's top of the list. I can't even tell you because if you look at the definition, it's like somebody who cares for the land and right? Like it's like takes care of, and Kate's like that, Mother Earth, Mother Nature. Shelby's the same way. So it all makes sense. We had a name that was like boy girl name. We really liked the name Alex a lot. Her sister is Allison, Allie. So I don't know. It would be kind of a tip of the cap there, but there's so many names, right? Like so many names. And maybe she likes a name that you don't, or you love a name and she grew up with a girl that was a dickhead in middle school.
Yes.
Yeah, that name.
I love the name Avery. The name Avery was really cool. And she knew somebody named Avery she didn't like. So like,
what did you guys do? Did you literally go through names where you're like, I think this is cool, like I like this person, they have a cool name? Or did you go through like the websites and you got, if you like this name, everything? Okay.
Cross-reference. It was like any of the analytical guys from the NFL teams we've been on, where they walk around with the clipboard and they're crunching numbers. That was us for a couple months there. And it's funny, I was at my parents' house 5 minutes down the road, and I'm very close with my folks. And they took my grandfather from New Jersey after my grandmother passed in the late 90s, and they built a home on our property in Virginia for him, and that's Frankie. I went by the same day that the doctor visited Kate. when I was gone, I stopped by my folks' house just to see my parents and let them know everything was going well and show them any pictures. And I said, I've got a name that I think I want to name the baby Frankie, Francesca, after your dad. And I was talking to my mom, and my mom was just like, you know, you can
She melted.
imagine.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
probably melted. Yeah.
And it was just an idea. I was like, just think about it. I love you. And it wasn't like the name, but it was like, just think about that name. And she was like, I really love it. And I got in the car and the baby came out. And when I was sitting next to Kate holding her hand, when the baby came out, Kate said, how about Frankie? How about Francesca? And I was like, this worked. It was one of those things that just worked.
I love that name.
Yeah,
it's a
I do
beautiful
too.
name. You guys did a great job on that. But you touching on the Long family, the long tradition, right? Your dad, your mom had 3 boys. Chris had 2. And then now you guys introduced the first girl baby into the family. Like, what is that like? Are they super stoked? They're probably like, yes, finally.
A change of pace.
We get a girl in the family.
Okay, this is a weird analogy, but back when people were moving west, you know what I'm saying? Like they were so used to the East Coast and they were so used to the way things were out east. I think it's kind of like we're the explorers, we're moving west. We're doing some different stuff here with the daughter. It gives my parents and her parents unique opportunities. Obviously, Kate had a sister, no brothers. I had 2 brothers, so 3 boys and no girls. The only girl I really knew was my mom growing up. And this is going to be an awesome experience, not only for me and my brothers, but for my mom in particular, because, she's never had a girl, man. She's been going to NFL games. She's been going to NFL games every weekend since 1981, something like that.
That's wild.
Like every weekend, she's watched NFL. She's never had a girl to sit with on a Sunday and be like, do you want to go get our nails done? Do you want to go for a run? Do you want to go? Whatever girls do, I'm going to figure it out. I don't know what the heck Frankie likes. I know she likes milk at this point. You know what I'm saying? And daddy's arms.
We could start there.
Yeah.
The voice. Can we talk about the voice? Can we talk about our voices and how they respond? And like the first time that you guys saw the eyes, like that was really cool for me.
Yes. Actually, so after my daughter Billy was born, I'd never held a baby, so I was kind of like freaked out. And they take her over to the table next to me to like measure her. And I just remember putting my hand out and I had my watch on and she opens her eyes and that was the first thing she like reached out for. And she actually tried grabbing my watch. And I have this picture of her holding my hand. It's like the cutest thing. And she was just born, but she had those instincts right away. That was sweet. And getting a photo of it was even cooler because I always have that now. But like
That's amazing.
The fact that they know that right away and that they kind of know who you are. I don't know if they would just like grab onto anyone. Maybe they would, but it was like they hear your voice when they're in the womb.
Yeah.
I think that's real.
Yeah.
Somebody said that. I'm like,
that's real.
It's probably so muffled. It's probably like having earphones on. I'm like, what is that? Is that dad? Is that mom talking? You know what I mean? But when they come out, they respond.
It's like when you're in the bathroom at the club and you hear the Young Jeezy song that you love, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta finish peeing. I gotta go dance to the song." That's like when she gets out of the womb, she's like, "I heard that song before. Like, I know you." And
exactly.
She's like, "You have no hair. Why don't you have hair?"
You and me both, Dad.
Yeah. So, one thing I did was, if you notice, I have a short beard right now, Pat. I shaved my face completely the week before I had my baby because I wanted my baby to be able to see my facial features. I didn't read to do that anywhere, but it kind of like occurred to me
that makes sense.
That might have been a good idea. So it's like my facial hair will grow, and she will have already seen my cheeks and my doughy face, and she'll be able to grow with my beard, hopefully. But I didn't want her to just see a big burly guy with a scratchy face,
No,
like she remembers at that age. Yeah. But I'm sure you had her hand like touch and rub daddy's face, like beard and all that. So she definitely remembers that, I would think. But
how about letting the baby, like when you first get the baby fed and put her in the bassinet and you're like, she's good, right? Like we can go to sleep. Is that okay?
It's scary. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how often she's waking up, but it is like nice and reassuring. Like, okay, she's still alive. You know what I mean? Like she's
Yeah.
crying, and like that means she's okay. It's when the babies are like mute, silent, like that's when you kind of should freak out.
I'm gonna break
Yeah,
our I'm gonna
especially
break
at the
our rule and
hospital.
I'm gonna break our rule and compare it to football right now. Okay. As a position player, somebody who doesn't get to touch the football, doesn't get to be on special teams like Pat and be part of the operation, whether it's field goal, punt, kickoff, whatever it may be. These are all things that players on the offensive line, the defensive line take for granted. The snap, the hold, the spin, you know what I'm saying? The whole deal. I've seen Pat do it a million times, but I don't think about it because he's so automatic.
Yeah.
When you think about sleeping, you don't think about it being a danger. So when I'm putting that baby in there and I look at my wife and she's exhausted, I know she's ready to get to sleep. I'm like, I hope the snap goes well. I hope the hold
Yeah.
goes well. I hope the kick goes well. Because all I'm going to do right now is go sit down and I'm just going to relax and have faith, right? Like you got to have faith that this stuff's okay.
Yeah.
And we're all anxious. We're all nervous. And we all think we're effing up. But there's 8 billion, I don't know how many people there are. There's little curved, roughly line 8 billion people in the world, right?
Yes.
Correct.
And I would say that we're probably doing better than in terms of caring for our children than like 7 billion of them, right? I'm just saying we're pretty elite in the other stuff we do. I would only assume that we would apply that to this. We have a lot to learn. I do for sure. And I'm just so happy to be like part of this fraternity, girl dad fraternity. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a unique club. It is. They don't just let anyone have a girl. The
No.
big man upstairs, like I'm going to strategically place this girl in Kyle Long's life, which leads me into this next question. When you get married, because you're fresh into marriage like I was, we're like a year in. You're not only responsible for your wife and the safety of your wife and the well-being, but now you have another girl.
Yeah.
You have a baby girl. You got to look after her for the rest of her life, and she's going to be attached to you. And I'm sure she's going to pull on the heartstrings. Like, has that really set in yet?
I think the onus is on me to be responsible for my daughter emotionally. Obviously, the physical stuff is, a given. We have to
Yeah.
For
make sure they're fed, clothed, changed, cleaned, and breathing.
Have a roof over their head. Yeah.
But I think the other thing is just as this kid gets older, I want her to understand that she can do anything she wants and that I've got her back and her mom's got her back. But there's going to be a certain point where she's going to be so prepared that we don't need to have her back. I remember when I went from junior college to Oregon as a football player, I became less dependent on my dad and the text messages I would get from him the night before games and to be prepared. And that stuff kind of became ingrained in my DNA. I didn't have to be reminded of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a similar thing as we raise these little humans and we show them the way, so to speak. When I got in the league, it was Patrick Manley. He was a 16-year veteran, and he showed me the way. He said, sit on this step right next to me. There's no seats in here. You're a rookie. You're a first-round pick. They definitely won't let you sit in a seat. But I promise you, if you sit right here and you watch some of these older guys and do what they do, you're going to have some success. And thank God I listened to a guy like Pat Manley, and I can only try to instill that kind of confidence and knowledge in my baby. And as she gets older, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. Don't let anybody tell you different, and you're always good enough.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice. Because I know me personally having a daughter, it was really humbling. Not just the fact that I had a daughter, but it was like the fact that it wasn't about me anymore. Like as an athlete, you're like, I got to get my sleep. I got to get my rest. I got to do this. I got to train. I got to blah, 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 blah. But now your schedule is going to look a bit different. But I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what I mean? Like I love my daughter through and through. And people are like, oh, when you have kids, dude, it's going to change. It just like makes me work even harder because there's more people dependent on you.
You have a purpose.
Yes.
Exactly.
There was
No,
days
like
where I didn't want to go to Hallis Hall, Pat, and I know you probably, I can't speak for you, but being on a 3-13 team or something, I don't know.
Correct.
You were on that team, 3-13?
Yep.
So I think it was your rookie year.
Welcome to the NFL, baby.
So you lose sight of your purpose at times, and that's natural. but I think that the way the big man upstairs or big girl upstairs has us wired is there is no losing your purpose here. I mean, you know what your job is.
Right. Like now you understand like why you were put on this earth. You're probably like, yeah, I can pass set and I can block the best defensive end in the world, like trying to protect the quarterback. Like I was born to do, but no, like you were born now to be Frankie's dad. You're born to be,
and nothing really matters outside of that.
no, absolutely
Nothing.
not.
Everything else is just details, right? Like it's like who are you? I'm Frankie's dad. Like that's who I am, and I'm Kate's husband.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you got it all figured out, man. You're 1 week in, you're like already
I like this.
a veteran dad.
I don't. I know what
great,
to say because I've been at the podium before, but you've been around me when I clearly don't know what to do, Pat. So.
This is like the presser.
But you got people around you that do, and that's about the dadhood, man.
Yes, it's
is. The people that you put in your life to help you along the way, because it's a lifetime thing. It's not like, in a year, like I'll figure it. No, things change, seasons change. As soon as they start walking, things change. I'm sure when they go to school, the list goes on. But I wanted to ask
that baby girl of yours, Pat, is going to be an outdoor baby now, living in Wisconsin. It's going to be, one of those Midwest tough kids. It's not a city
in the woods
anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's all right. I mean, I guess we're going to have a house divided essentially because she was born in Illinois, and then the next one is going to be born in Wisconsin and Green Bay. So it's going to be. Talk about the rivalry.
That's lit, as the kids say.
Yes.
But have you guys got any gnarly gifts, like gifts that you would recommend for parents out there if people were trying to get gifts for siblings that are having kids? Because I'm sure a lot of people are listening, like, I want to give a gift and I want to give it for a purpose.
Or
you know
useful.
What I mean? Because there's so many gifts. Like
the value, obviously, in sleep is massive right now. That's how we started the show, with sleep deprivation. There are 1,000 toys that Shelby or Kate, and I'm sorry, I don't know your wife's name. I apologize.
Aaliyah.
So Aaliyah,
she'd fit
Shelby,
right in. Trust me. Yeah.
Aaliyah, Shelby, Kate. They want to get everything. They've had it for 7 months, right? Like the baby room's ready. Now we're just waiting. It's funny because we have all this really nice stuff, and I'm like, that looks expensive. That looks expensive. That looks expensive. That one doesn't look very expensive. You put the baby in the Fisher Price one that costs $40. It's like a tower with 2 strings on it, and it's got a bassinet that kind of just like rocks, and it's got a little spinny light. It's simple. I put the baby in there.
Is that the swing?
The swing.
Is it
the baby? Yeah.
Palmer loved that thing.
It just stops.
Oh.
Yeah, we had something similar to that. Someone got us the Mamaroo. You put it on the floor and it, rocks. That thing, you put Billy in there, she's out like a light. Best thing ever.
So happy. It's like the closest thing that I can find to holding her. Like when you hold the baby, it's like, oh, thank God, there's dad. But it's like you put her in there and it's like, all right, I'm watching F1 practice now. So yeah, that's a great gift. If you want to give somebody a gift, new parents, I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to Pat, and we'll make sure that he puts a screenshot of it and maybe a link in the description.
Yeah, we will plug it.
Oh, we need that for sure.
Fisher Price is what it is. I can't think of the exact name of it, but it works.
So we have one other product we've talked about on here. Pat and I were talking about this before we got on too. I had a snoo for when Billy was born. I don't know if you know what a snoo is. It's like a bassinet that when the baby cries, it rocks him back to sleep. Is the coolest thing ever. If you buy one, they're like $1,400. You can rent them. It sounds totally not worth it. And then I complained about it. It's the most worth it thing ever. New parents, highly recommend it. If you can't afford to buy it, rent it. It will save you a lot of time and effort and sleep.
And that's the Roo? How do you spell that?
Snoo, SNOO.
Oh, the Snoo, not the Roo. Okay,
it is amazing. Best thing ever.
I actually heard a funny story about that one. Someone had twins. Maybe if you have twins, don't do this. But like as soon as one would move, the thing would shake to give it back to sleep, and then the other one would wake up and start crying.
Oh no!
It was like a back and forth. Like
I was watching this video. I was like, newborn sleep, whatever. And I saw this one where somebody took a room, like imagine a room like this with, let's say, the corners covered with pads and the cabinets and baby proof
Right, baby
walls.
proof it. Yeah.
But then they put like 2 twin mattresses on the floor, and they just put the babies. There's twins, and they just put them on there, and they left. Like that's what they do.
my
They just put
gosh.
the babies on there, and it shows like a time lapse, and the babies are just cruising around. They wake up like that, and if they want to go to sleep, they go to sleep. If they want to like move around and crawl around, they do until they get tired. And I was so impressed. I'm amazed at the faith and trust that some parents have.
Oh, it's
And
amazing. And
there's
then they
no
videotape
doubt.
them.
There's
Well,
no
yeah.
doubt that it works really well sometimes, but I have doubts about if it doesn't work out well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
No,
interesting.
and that's fair. Well, one thing we've talked about on here is pregnancy cravings. So I'm kind of interested in what your wife was craving, because my wife craved pickles like it was going out of style.
Pickles. That's I think pickles was never a craving for Kate. I know she does like my pickles. Prior to pregnancy, she would eat the pickle off the barbecue plate. You know what I'm saying? She would steal my pickles, and
I thought you were going a different direction. I was like, whoa.
clearly there has been a pickle transaction at some point in time. I'm just saying, at least one.
At least once.
No, her cravings, ice cream, big into ice cream. Love, those Magnum bars with the vanilla, the chocolate with the really good. Those, she did frozen bagged peaches.
Okay.
Really into frozen peaches. It was a nice, refreshing, light snack. The dog eats it too, so she likes to throw the frozen peaches in there.
Nice.
Yeah, so those two. I'm trying to think, man. Like, yeah, I mean, we were eating good there. We've been eating good. When your husband's 330 pounds and you're 9 months pregnant, you can't do any wrong. You know what I mean?
What about any advice day of the birth? Because you just went through it. If a
Day of the
dad
birth.
is game day, right? We're talking like 9 months leading up to this one day.
So
Any advice,
okay.
either for the guy to get through it or advice to help the guy get the wife through it?
If you're an athlete, which most of us are, we all played, whether it's middle school or high school, college, pro. We've all had game day, whether it's T-ball or YMCA or Little League.
Mm-hmm.
We've all put our jersey on the night before, and we've all slept in our uniform. And going into the week, it was like, 3 more sleeps, 2 more sleeps, 1 more sleep. And the night before, it honestly felt like I was getting ready to go play in the NFC, North Championship game. And when we parked at the stadium at the hospital at 5 a.m. on Monday, and I'm carrying the duffel bags in across the tarmac, I looked at my wife and I said, I want you to know that this is exactly how it feels on a huge game day. I said, walking in here with you right now, you're my teammate. The quarterback is in your belly. Like, this is what it's all about. You know what I mean? And she kind of smiled and she was like, I can kind of see where you're coming from there, and my advice. Okay, so my advice for the dads is take as many pictures as you can. Also, one thing that Kate and I did, I walked up to Kate when she was packing up the bags in the bedroom for the hospital, and I walked up to her and I walked up to her like this. I was like, hey, Kate, this is just for us, make sure you say that first. This is just for us and for the baby. I just wanted to tell her, Frankie, your mom is so excited and we're getting the bag packed up, and, she's been working so hard to be ready to be a mom, and dad has no idea what he's doing. And then I show the dog and I'm like, Bear is freaking the fuck out right now. You'll meet him, very soon, and talk to the camera like you're talking to your kid.
That's cool. It's like a home video.
Yeah.
Include your
Back in the day.
significant other. And then when you get to the hospital, let your significant other play in her game. She's playing the game. Leave her, like, be there to support, give her water, whatever. But have that phone there. Take pictures. Take videos. If you feel a certain way, you don't have to write it down. Writing it down is great. But if you video it, you see your face. She or he can feel your face when they watch it. We got home from the hospital the first day. The first thing we did was introduce the dog and the baby, you know what I'm saying? And I took the dog out to fetch while Kate got the baby in the house. And I took a video from way down in our field, like 8 acres away. And I was like and Kate was on the back porch of the baby. And I zoomed in all the way with my camera. And I was like, Bear and I are fetching, you're home. And there's your mom. There's you. I was like, you're right there, you know? Stuff like that, I think, seems goofy, seems tacky, but these are the things you regret. And I remember, like, for example, my NFL career. I look back at my NFL career, and you and I can talk about all the cool things we did together. You've seen me do some cool things. I've seen you pump balls 1,000 yards through the ceiling of the Walter Payton Center. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that is hearsay, but unless you have video, unless you have, it doesn't hold the same value. I wish there was more video of when I was at practice. I wish I had more video of, and I know that she will want the same. And that's one way you can provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's great advice, because as time goes on, the memories kind of slip a little bit. And I think that's just human nature. Mm-hmm. And the best advice somebody gave me was Nick Foles, where he got this information from his brother-in-law. And he said, document everything you can. Because the day it happens so fast. And for people that are married, it's like your wedding day goes by so fast and there's so much planning. And
you don't even get to enjoy it. Like,
right. So I think that's awesome advice. We actually haven't heard that yet, where someone actually took a video and kind of documented a little bit. So there will be a day where Frankie's like, Dad, you have those videos like you always talked about with Mom, and you're going to pull it up. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be in a cloud somewhere. You have to pull it down. You have to find it. Maybe save the computer.
I'm going to do the shared album to my wife, and she's going to make sure that it's saved, because I get a new iPhone every 3 weeks. There's one picture that my mom sent me from, and this is some inside info here. Okay. So I got a picture from my mom of the day that I was born, from my dad. It's a picture of my dad and I. I don't know if you can see this, but
yes. Oh, that's
so
awesome.
my mom sent me that picture, and I'm like, I sent it to my dad, and I sent it to my dad. I said, "This is the first time we met," you know. And it's like we don't know how long we have with one another.
Right.
So it's important, you know. This stuff is this is the utmost of importance. Like this goes higher than getting the linebacker blocked. This goes higher than holding the snap. And I'm so grateful to have friends like Pat and Shelby and countless others that we can call at any time of night. And now I'm going to call you too, and I'm going to call Aria, and we're gonna find out how to get Frankie to sleep. We're gonna, how to make her happy, because you guys have been there and you're friends. This is what it's all about. And gosh, I can't help but get emotional thinking about it.
It's an emotional thing, man, especially when you think you're kind of alone, but you're not, right? And that's why I think we developed this podcast. I'm thankful that Josh lived 2 doors down from me. He's got a daughter the same age. So sometimes it's like, hey, dude, can we come over and just like hang out for a minute? Like it's been a day.
You guys grew up next to one another?
No, I moved in here in Jupiter, Florida. And sure enough, we kind of met. And I'm like, oh, you got a daughter? I got a daughter. And this is kind of how the whole podcast.
It definitely helps. Well,
I'm trying to get Josh into golf. He's into sim racing. I'm sure that you know that.
Josh, first off, we got to do sim racing.
Yes, 100%,
buddy. Okay.
I'll tell you, after having Billy, I used to do like 20 races a week.
Same. I'm like 1 a week now.
Yeah. Well, I've done 2 races since I've had Billy, like online races. I was doing dirt oval, road, you name it. And then had Billy, I just get on to run laps. I don't know how much time I have, so I'm just running laps.
If you ever want to join a hosted, put some hot laps down and then go feed the baby, we can do that.
I will
give him my number.
Oh, we'll connect you. Don't worry.
We'll get linked up.
Yes, let's make it happen.
I'm sure dads out there are like, oh, damn, my golf game just went out the window. If it didn't already go out the window a long time ago, now you have an excuse.
We all sucked anyway. So.
Yeah. now having a kid's your reason why.
Yeah, I have a good excuse.
So what are these diapers looking like nowadays? Are we still in the black tar? Did you know how to change a diaper?
Yesterday we went seedy. You know,
Okay.
I googled seedy because we're not eating seeds. You know what I'm saying? Why
Yes.
does it look like she ate Grey Poupon and honey mustard and spicy mustard? So come to find out, the little seeds we see are the fat deposits from mom's milk, and the rest is just like the poop. But it's I had to Google that. I was like, why we got seeds in here, dude? I've been cleaning diapers a lot. I'm a big diaper guy. I'm pretty good at it.
That's actually it's a thankless task, right? It's one of those things where your wife is recovering, and I'm sure it's the last thing she wants to do. But for all you dads out there, you do a diaper, man, your wife will never look at you.
It's so easy too. Like
Yeah.
it's quick, it's easy. People talk a lot of smack about it. The poops haven't started smelling terrible yet, so I will say that.
There are some bad ones that come out.
There are some bad ones, but if you've hung out with me long enough, I stink just sitting around, like without even opening my butt up. This girl is fun. There's so many things. Like you were saying, it's a thankless task. It's like, emptying the dishwasher, taking the trash out. There's a few things that you can do. And I have my wife's parents here, and they're incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything because they're doing everything. Her dad cooks, her mom's cleaning everything, walking the dogs. Like, all I have to do is be there, and can I hold the baby? Does it?
It's a great time to have help. It really is, because once they leave, things kind of, it gets a little hairy sometimes.
Dave. Come on in, Dave. Hey, Pat, I hate to cut you off. Thank you, Dave. Speaking of the devil, so this is Dave Arbach, the patriarch of my wife's family. His new nickname is Grampy, and because that's what his dad is. It's Grampy to Kate, and he's doing great. Dave, you got any advice to give to dad? This is a dad podcast. Some friends of mine here.
Take it one game at a time.
I love it.
Every day is a new day, so it's at least the baby's beautiful, cute, quiet, and great papa.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave, for that cameo.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That's
Got a
that is
bacon,
good
egg, and
advice though on the
cheese on
diapers.
focaccia, by the way.
Yes.
Dad's got to eat.
Yeah, and the
What
diaper
were you
stuff,
saying? What were you
I
saying?
was
My bad.
I was overwhelmed going into it. I've never changed a diaper, and then you change your first one, you're like, why is everyone like so weird about this? This is super easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of gross,
The
but
hard
then it's
part's
also
getting the
not.
legs down.
Yeah.
And then wait till they start squirming and moving. It's like breakdance. Like Palmer's at the age where she starts like moving around and squirming. I'm like, you gotta have to pin her down a little bit, or give her a toy to distract her
They're
for 2
strong.
seconds. I'm like, come on,
They
I'm
are
trying
strong.
to change
Their
your diaper.
shoulders and stuff, like when they just grab you and pull, I'm like, you are pretty strong.
They
Actually,
need to have like a combine for babies because they're pretty strong.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
Yeah, the baby combine.
One question for you guys that it didn't occur to me until the baby was like newborn. Actors, baby actors, like when there's a newborn in a movie and they have to have a real newborn there, so they don't have like a fake baby. Who is giving their babies to Hollywood?
That's a good question. Not me.
Baby agents. They got baby agents out there,
You
man.
kidding
People
me?
are probably.
You gotta speak to my manager.
Speak to my
Are you sure
pacifier.
they're live babies?
There are some.
Could be robot babies.
Yes, there are live fucking babies, Pat, and they're everywhere, and they're on TV, and they're making more money than us.
That's true. The Gerber babies, dude, have probably a huge bank account. Stacking checks.
Living that.
I think
Glam
we've got the
life.
potential for a Gerber baby downstairs. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe
Gerber, hit us up.
Yeah, Gerber, if you're
Gerber,
looking for babes, we got a lot of.
Everybody eats.
That's right.
Dude, besides now just trying to pimp out your daughter to Gerber, what do you got going on right now? You're going to be jumping on the podcast, right, with Chris, right? Greenlight Pod. You're going to join that.
So I am, that is the one thing that is, we're just ironing the details out. But yeah, my older brother, Chris Long, 2-time Super Bowl champ, clean water hero internationally, all around great guy, really bright. He has a media company in which that houses the Greenlight podcast, and the Greenlight podcast was kind of a brainchild of his that came about a few years ago, and it's really gaining traction. He's having a great time with it. He has a ton of content, 2 pods a week, 2+ hours with him and his best friend from high school, who's actually his realtor, and they're just
That's cool.
idiots. So if you want to check out Greenlight Podcast, my older brother Chris, I'll be on there a lot moving forward. Now that I am retired from the NFL, this year was a no-brainer. Like, I got hurt one last time. I had a baby. It's time. It's
done.
time to go do something else. I want to be here for my baby, and my wife. So Chris podcast, I'm on there with him. It's on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube. Go check him out. If you do see it on YouTube, please leave some comments, because that's how the algorithm works, from what I understand. Also, the year I was out of the NFL 2 years ago, I did CBS pregame. We're working on getting back into studio there with CBS, and that'll be from 8 to noon on CBS on Sunday mornings.
I love it.
You went from being busy to being busier.
I know.
Well,
if that was even possible.
I say all that to say this: I'm going to be working 2 days a week now. So,
all right,
Dad for the rest of them.
Yeah.
So where can they find you? Want to shout out that handle, social media, Twitter?
Yeah, if you guys want to check me out on Twitter, it's Kyle Long. It's KY1ELONG, because there's only one Kyle Long. I'm the number one Kyle Long. You know what I'm saying? And on Instagram, it's Kyle Long 75. If you guys are gamers, if you like sim racing, if you like first-person shooters, survival games, I will also be streaming on Twitch coming up later this spring and summer. I do have a page. It's not active right now. It's twitch.tv/Kyle Long. We have an active following, but we don't have an active streamer right now, but I will be very soon. So tune in for details. Thank you guys so much. It's been fun, and we can do this again whenever you want. I got nothing going on, so
it's an honor, man. You have a 1 week-year-old, and you're here on the podcast. So
that's pretty amazing.
We appreciate your time on Locker Room Dads. I'm sure we'll have you back on. You'll have many more stories down the road, because you're just getting into it. We'd love to have you back, but enjoy the ride, man. Dadhood, all the way.
Anything for you, Pat O'Donnell. You're my boy, Blue, and I'll see you guys. Much love. Give my best to the fam.
Sounds good, buddy. Likewise. We'll talk to you soon.
Locker Room Dads is brought to you by Stormhouse Brewing. South Florida's best pint and bite is located in sunny North Palm Beach. Whether you're looking for a great craft beer, delicious food, or watching your favorite team, they're always brewing the perfect storm. And Coach First. Coach First is a fully integrated app that is designed for athletes and coaches alike. Whether you want to book your next training session or take your coaching to the next level, Coach First is the app for you. Find them on the App Store and sign up today.